evening, everyone. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, United ISD. Today is Tuesday, June 15, 2021. And we are present. The time is now 6:01. We're present in the United Independent School District Boardroom at 201 Lindenwood Drive, Laredo, County, Texas. Could I have board members who are present virtually, could you please announce yourselves?
Ricardo Rodriguez, present.
Roberto Ramirez, present.
Lisa Olivares.
And Javier Montemayor. We have a quorum hereby. Molina there.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mr. Molina. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
There you go. You can see you now. Thank you. I call this meeting of the Board of Trustees to order. This meeting has been duly posted in accordance with the Texas Government Code. Also present is Mr. Frank Castillo for the record. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
The republic which stands one nation. Justice for all.
Honor the flag of Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Public comments. Mr. Hernandez,
Good evening. Good evening, honorable board members. Good evening, Superintendent Santos, Gonzalez. For the record, Hernandez de la Viña, full-time president for TSTA. I'm here to ask for a salary increase like I do every year. I know that you all had a big expense with the COVID and all the other additional expenses that you all have, but then you are also reimbursed with those Esser2 Funds and the federal government that gave you all those millions of dollars to all the different school districts all around the state. So you were reimbursed, so the money's there. And I'm asking you to please, to give all school employees, everyone, from the principal to the custodian, everybody. So please give them some kind of a pay raise. Something is always better than nothing. I know budgets are tight right now. But again, we have those federal monies. I know you can't use it for salaries, but you can use that federal money to reimburse what you used on COVID. So the monies are there, and so I mean your funding balance should be back to normal since you are reimbursed for all these other monies that you can use, for things like that. And having said that, we're asking for a pay step increase, like Laredo ISD, and plus a regular pay raise. And as far as a performance-based pay raise, that's not really a pay raise. That's totally something else, and that's another kind of a program. So again, I'm asking you to please, give all school employees a pay raise. We've been through a lot of teachers had to teach at home and teach at the campus level. And I think, we all went through a very difficult time. And I'm asking you to please compensate them for that. And Superintendent Santos, it was a pleasure working with you. And it was a great experience. It was a learning experience. Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you.
thank you. Any other public comments?
Yes, sir. I have one that was submitted electronically. Good evening. For the record, my name is David Perez, President of the United Classroom Teacher Association. On behalf of our organization, we would like to commend Mr. Roberto Santos for his service to United ISD. It has been a pleasure working with you over the years. We wish you well in your retirement. God bless you and your family. That was it.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. All right, the next item on the agenda are recognitions. Okay. Roberto Santos retirement.
I do want to start off by sharing a little bit of a history of Mr. Santos before we present him with anything. Superintendent Roberto J. Santos began his career with United ISD in 1983, serving as an administrative assistant to the superintendent, director for human resources, assistant superintendent for support services, and associate superintendent for student support services. In 2005, Mr. Santos accepted the call to become United ISD Superintendent of Schools, a position which he held for the last 16 years. Over the course of the next 16 years, Superintendent Santos's vast experience, ingenuity, and unwavering commitment to students led to unprecedented growth and enormous success for this district. This year, the district and the students continue to thrive despite the COVID-19 pandemic, budget constraints, and numerous other challenges that have affected everyone. It was also a time during which we relied heavily on Mr. Santos's leadership to navigate us through some very rough waters. For this and all previous years, Mr. Santos transformed the lives of thousands of students for the better, much better. His profound impact on the history and future of our district leaves us feeling proud and confident. To this day, United ISD is one of the most admired, emulated public school districts in the state. And we can all say that we owe a lot of the successes of his school district to Roberto J. Santos for his leadership. So, sir, I want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Yeah.
Any of the board members have any comments?
This will be his last meeting as superintendent of United ISD that he will serve as part of our regular board meeting. So personally, sir, I just want to thank you for being such an exceptional role model to me. So
For the record, Ricardo Molina, I served with Mr. Santos since the start of Mr. Santos as superintendent, and it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. It's been great years, and you deserve well-deserved rest and relaxation. Go and enjoy yourself. God bless you and your family, and take care. God bless you.
Mr. Santos, I wish you the best on your life, sir. You've been a great member of the United family. You've been a great leader, a great man to follow. It's hard to get on your shoes, not just because they're big, but because but it's really, it's something to follow a man like this or walk on his shoes. It's something that nobody can do it. Of course, every life of everyone is different, but still, since the time I've been on the board, you've been a great man, a great leader, a great father, a great part of the family. It's a big member, big member, which you were sworn in to become a leader since you were born and up to now. Of course, this is not the end of your life, but still wish you the best. And from the time being, you stay close, let's be in touch. God bless you. Que no se acabe United.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Thank you.
I'll say a quick word for the record, Ramiro Vélez III. Mr. Santos, I do want to thank you for the years of service for the district. I spent only a fraction of the time there with you, 8 years to be exact, the last year, 8.5 years. But during that time that I've been on the board, you have shown nothing but support for myself. And obviously, I've seen it firsthand for the district, the employees, and at the end of the day, for our students and our children. So I want to commend you for the great leadership qualities that you possess. Obviously, our district is in a great place because of your direction and your dedication to it. So again, thank you very much for that. And I hope you enjoy retirement, much needed retirement. I know it's been echoed, but you are a very hardworking individual, and I think it's a much well-deserved, sir. So again, thank you very much for your dedication and years of service to our district, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vélez. Appreciate it.
Mr. Santos, I also want to congratulate you. I hope you enjoy your retirement. I know we started our venture in 2008. It's been a great venture that we've done. I think you've taken the district to higher levels, and I think it speaks for itself of what it's shown. But I want to congratulate you for all the great work you've done, our ups and downs, taking it through our pandemic. And I mean, this I think was probably the hardest that we've gone through, but I congratulate you. I hope you enjoy your retirement. Y que como dice Mr. Ramirez, que no se acabe United, and enjoy your retirement, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Appreciate it, sir.
Okay, my turn now. Mr. Santos, thank you so much for all you've done for the school district. As a member who's been here the least amount of time, I can actually say very much that your influence will be felt even as you leave and in the future. So you've dedicated a lifetime to this for your 16 years of service. I cannot imagine what you're going to do next, but we can only imagine how it will be without you. I know you're leaving the school district in very capable hands, and you have surrounded yourself with a team of excellence. So my congratulations to you. I wish you the best, and I hope that you have made a new friend.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Santos, I guess I came in shortly after Ramiro, so I've had the pleasure and the honor of working with you for the past 7 years. And I must say, coming in right through the gates, I've been impressed with your leadership skills. And I wish you the best of luck and God's blessings in your retirement. And as it was mentioned, you leave wonderful seeds here. Everybody sitting in this room has a seed in them that was planted by you. And I know you'll be with us, watching us as those seeds grow. And I hope that we can be the beautiful garden that you planted after your retirement from the district. So may God bless you. May God bless every moment you have with your family, and congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll finish up, Mr. Santos. I can honestly say I've spent 11 years, almost 11 years now here on this board, and I've known nothing but great leadership from you. I've learned quite a bit. When I walked in these doors, I had no idea what the education business was about, and it's been a learning experience for me, and you helped guide the decisions that we made. You helped guide this board and previous boards in the right direction. This district has excelled not only regionally, statewide, in all aspects. And that is due to your direction, your leadership. But more than anything, sir, what I always knew this day was going to come at some point. It came rather quickly for my taste, but I can tell you that one word I take away from your leadership is stability. This district is stable. The community admires that stability. The teachers are in a good place. They're stable. All the employees here, you've always taken care of them, and so I respect that. I respect you. I respect your work, and I wish you well in your retirement. I don't see you sitting on a rocking chair, sir. So I don't see that happening at all. So I think there's probably other things in this world that you're going to be achieving. So I wish you well.
Thank you. Again, all the board want to thank you for the support that you've given us. I think you're in good hands. I think David is going to be able to lead us. I think he needs your support. That's at the end of the day. But again, I want to thank you for the support that you've given me and staff.
And so with that, we have a little gift that we'd like to present to you. So if you'd like to come to the front.
Read it, sir.
You may need your glasses.
So this is on behalf of all the board members. Thank you for believing in children, for guiding example, for leaving an indelible mark for the future, for touching the human soul, influencing so many lives. Mr. Roberto J. Santos, thank you for your 38 years of service. Thank you, sir.
There we go. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Back to you.
So on to agenda item number 6, informational items. A, Finance Division Monthly Financial Report.
Okay, we're gonna have to make this quick. It's a tough act to follow. It's just something that's been here pretty much my entire adult life. He's a great man. So we're doing good. Bottom line, the superintendent's report is doing really good. We have $197 million as of May 31st. The majority of that is all in the general fund, and it's at 41%. The next largest group of funds is going to be from the 2013 bond election, and they total 73 million, which is roughly about 37% of our portfolio. Our portfolio is running at a yield of 0.27%. To compare that to the current pools in Texas, it's 0.12%. So we're holding our own with our investments as the school district. Our administrative cost ratio is 8.17%, which is well under the 11.09% allowed by the state. We have revenues to date of 306 million and expenditures of 323. It's not unusual this time of the year. We get into our negative cash flow situations from here to the end of the year. But remember, we do have a good beginning fund balance, and we should receive another $80 million in revenues from the state and about $2 million more in tax collections before we get to August 31st. The tax office collection right now is at 98.22%. It was at 98.15% the same time last year. And then you can review the purchasing report for May 31st and the grant report as well through May 31st. And we got some questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Flores? Thanks, sir. Agenda item 6B, budget 2022 update.
I bring a budget update to the board. And again, I'd like to also thank Mr. Santos for his guidance. It's not the easiest thing to bring Mr. Santos bad news on the budget every year. But he's always been real supportive, and he's always been very conservative. But at the forefront, it's always been, what can we do for our schools and what can we do for our employees? So he leaves a good following behind. I think we know what we need to do next, and we'll keep going, Mr. Santos. So the session ended on May 31st. Several bills were passed that impacted school districts. One of them was the House Bill 3, which was the school finance bill. Not too many major changes were made. There were some changes made in Kate. There was some changes made on the fast growth allotment and so on. But pretty much, we're not seeing a lot of state money come. I mean, they're gonna give us money for our students. So what we're kind of experiencing right now is a decline in our enrollment, but we're really hoping those kids show up in August. We're gonna go looking for them. We're going to have some activities for our kids, and we hope to welcome back, the number of kids that we've had in the past. Right now, we're studying the effect of these bills, and we'll be finalizing our projected state revenue based on what was approved. Esser2, I know there was some reference to Esser2 Funds. We are one of those districts, luckily, right, that we did get allocated some money. We're working on a plan with CNI and the departments that have some allowable uses of funds. We do want to bring kind of like a draft plan to the board It's, it's amazing, 127 million to try to make it last through September 30th, 2024, but the most thing is to make it an effective spending plan, especially addressing the learning loss that has been experienced by our students. Luckily, and I don't want to steal Mr. Gonzalez's thunder, but I think we had some good test results, Mr. Gonzalez, but until our kids show up, you'll have to realize, the mental, the social, and the academic needs that we're needing to address. Esser2, this was a nice surprise that we received on June 3rd. We also qualified for Esser2 funds. The Esser2 funds were part of the Trump administration. They had issued those funds in last December, but TA had not gotten, I guess, the directive on how to spend these funds. And so they did allocate an amount to us. However, they did put a caveat about that they will be using some of this money for our student attendance. In other words, if we said we were gonna be funded at 38,000 and we only got 36,000 kids, they'll fund us at the 38,000 kids, but they're gonna use 2,000 kids worth from these extra funds. So we're calculating on the side how much of that money is gonna be used by the state. We think we'll still be able to hold on to enough. We think we might use about 10% of it. But as we're planning our Esser3 funds, we will incorporate Esser2 plans because they seem to be the same allowable uses of funds.
What was the amount, Ms. Benavides, that we received for Esser2 on June 3rd?
The amount that got allocated, Mr. Bellis, is $56 million. Okay. But then, we're thinking maybe about 10% of it might be used. So we might see maybe 49 million, 48.
When are you anticipating having a final figure using the information on the enrollment? Is that something for this previous year that you guys are calculating, right? Or
we're using our ADA information from this past school year. We're submitting our student information in June through what they call Kings. But I think TA let us know that maybe in September we'll have a final amount of what they think they're going to use to keep us hold harmless. Right. So I think September will be a good time. But we're really thinking the rules that they're giving us that we might be able to keep about 85 to 90% of that money.
That sounds great. Thank you, Mom.
Are those the funds that Mr. Delgado referred to as not able to use those funds for salary increases, or?
I think, let me jump in. Based on what, staff has visited on the interpretation from TA, there is a very good possibility that we might be able to use some of that fund for some adjustments. And I know Mr. Gonzalez and staff are working on a plan. They'll probably have a workshop with the board sometime, before the end of the month.
Okay.
Just to make sure that we finalize what is the correct amount and what can we use for obviously additional increases for our employees, which they merit. So I think it's good news. I think it's very good news, for the district. And again, going back, I know Sam talked about this, that we got to make sure that we follow the spirit of the law. It's going to be coming down to audit. As we're going to be probably one of the biggest districts that they're going to come audit. So we got to make sure that whatever penny we spend, it meets the spirit of the law.
Well, it's not only for the learning loss, addressing learning losses, but there's also COVID safety measures that.
There's a section that's for prevention of COVID, of mitigating, the virus. And so, we can get money for PPE, we can get money for air quality, indoor air quality improvements, and Mr. Rangel is working on a plan on that. And so, and then also for purchasing technology at work, things that we would need, as we need to do more on technology. So there is a lot of allowable uses, but they say that we have a minimum of 20% to use for learning loss, and that could be summer school, extended day tutorials, after school programs. And so that's where CNI is putting that plan together right now.
At what point do you all anticipate coming to, or letting board members know what your ideas are? You have to present it to the state for approval.
But yes, we'll be bringing the plan. We have to do a public notice. And so we will be presenting a plan to the board. There's no official board approval needed, but we do need to present it to our public to our stakeholders, and then we submit the grant application. The grant application for Esser3 is due July 27th, and the one for Esser2 is not due till about September 2nd of 2020. So, kind of doing both plans at the same time will work well for us, because it's just a lot of money, and you got to do the planning.
Yeah, Mr. Gonzalez is planning to have probably a workshop with the board. Probably not, maybe next week, late next week. And one of the things that I think obviously has to get approved is a resolution that we're presenting to the board, resolution that we do use part of that money for any adjustments in pay. To be able to get, TRS has looked at that, and there is a resolution that if the board approves it, those monies can also be used for teacher retirement. So I think there's a lot of pluses there, and I think Mr. Gonzalez and staff, they have a good plan to present to the board. And I think it'll be more of a board workshop now. The resolution probably has to get approved before the end of the month to be able to count that for TRS.
I have to have a
Special call meetings.
What is the deadline for the Esser3? I didn't hear.
The grant application is due July 27th.
Oh, 2020.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 2021, yes.
But they have really until 2024 on Esser3,
Right,
right?
to spend the funds,
To spend.
we have to September 30th, 2024.
Very good.
Now, the resolution, Mr. Castillo, has to, if the board wants to be able, whatever funds we get out of NCO to our employees, in order for it to count for TRS purposes, and that resolution has to be approved, I think, before the end of this month. That's why it's important that workshop be presented to the board. I think it's gonna be good for employees and all deserve.
15 days.
Yes.
And then just the regular budget, Sam and his staff have been working on doing the estimated revenue. We got our preliminary values from Webb County Appraisal District back in April. And so I know I kind of put there about maybe a budget workshop also. So we were hoping that we would have something like a budget workshop, a discussion on Esser, and possibly board action on this additional compensation we want for our employees, hopefully by the end of the month. And so that way we can start showing y'all numbers in the budget, nothing to do with Esser, but just what are we looking like in our budget.
As I've spoken to Martin Daniel, that's what we presented.
He gave us some, he gave us some values, and also we're gonna be in contact with him because of the protests that have been filed.
Yes, but the values have gone up significantly.
Yes,
so
yes.
I'm hoping that will be good for us, not good for homeowners, but good for the district.
Yes.
When you say employee compensation, are we talking about all UIC employees or?
No, yes, I think Mr. Gonzalez and staff and Laila, I know we're looking at this point in time for all employees. On the Esser funds, and maybe I guess I'm gonna jump in, maybe I should let David share with you, but I think what they're looking at is the same type of adjustment for all employees to make it, whether you're a principal or hourly employee. So on the Esser, to try to make it, the same amount
Like a across
across the board. Yes.
That's fair.
Yeah, a set amount in on Esser now. We'll work on budget will probably come a little later. I don't know whether they have any funds to give any increase on the regular budget, but I think on Esser.
Be a one-time right, just a one-time, but the way we plan to pay it, that it would be, part of our TRS, our teacher retirement.
The effect of that one time would be as though it were part of teacher retirement.
And that allows them to get credit on teacher retirement, which is really very good.
Any questions? Anyone else? Thank you. Item C, federal and state programs grant update.
Good evening, board members, Mr. Santos, Mr. Gonzalez, the audience, Rebecca Morales, Executive Director of Federal Programs for the record. I'm very grateful that I had a little bit of time after that long presentation, that beautiful recognition for Mr. Santos. Composed myself before I came up here. Mr. Santos has actually been the superintendent for my entire administrative career of 14 years, so very grateful to him. for his leadership, Mr. Santos, and you're leaving a legacy, sir. I'm here to present an update on behalf of our school district. Our department will be submitting the Essa application to TEA. We're hoping to submit it before the end of the month, and this consists of all our title grants. So that is Title I, which is our basic educational programs, Title I-C, which is our migrant program, Title I-D2, which is for residential facilities, Title II, which supports retention and recruitment of teachers, principals, and also professional development. Our Title III grant, which supports our bilingual ESL learners, and then our Title IV grant, which currently has been used to support safety grants, our STEM initiatives, and things of that nature, social emotional. So we are planning to be submitting this on behalf of the school district before the end of the month.
Anyone have any questions for Ms. Cos-Morales?
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6D, notice of upcoming grant applications to be submitted.
Good evening, board members. Good evening. The upcoming grant applications that we're intending to submit are as follows. We have a COPS hiring grant, total cost of $473,307 and change. We also matching funds. And it's going to be to fund the entry-level salaries of 4 additional USD police officers in positions not previously budgeted. 3-year grant with the requirement that funded officers must be retained in the position 1 year after.
Matching funds would be from the district?
From the district.
An amount on that or not? I don't, that's okay. Do you have an amount on it?
Yes, $119,949, and that's across 3 years. It's not that we have to have a lump sum.
So we went beyond the 1 year that they're required.
Right, so we're gonna have the funding for 3 years of the funding. And then after the end of that 3 years, we have another year we have to keep moving at our own expense. Probably. The second one is the COPS School Violence Prevention Program. We're looking at a total project cost of $625,000 with $500,000 federal and $125,000 national. It's also a 3-year project, and it's going to be to fund metal detectors at all elementary schools and the Student Activity Center, to provide 2-way radios for security personnel at the secondary campuses, and interoperable radios for the USD Police Department. It's going to provide replacement batteries for security and police radios, so to keep working with what we already have. It's going to be providing funds for a mobile platform tower with elevated cameras and space for personnel inside, flood surveillance in large areas and products, and to provide funds for mobile solar-powered cameras mounted on trailers so that we can have overnight security for campuses located along the Rio Grande border. The next one is a tentative one. We're working on developing this one, but because of the timelines, we have to bring it up now. It's a COPS Implementation of Crisis Intervention Teams grant. It's a 2-year grant for up to $250,000 total. The program is for expansion of the use of crisis intervention teams in order to embed mental and behavioral health services with law enforcement, as well as the development of training programs. There are no matching cost requirements on that one. Also tentative are COPS micro grants. The program funds are used to develop the capacity of law enforcement to implement community policing strategies by providing guidance on promising practices through the development and testing of innovative strategies, building knowledge about effective practices and outcomes, and supporting new creative approaches to prevent crime and promoting safe communities. It's a 1-year program with $125,000 possible funding with no local match requirement. And finally, we have our COPS Community Policing Development, up to $150,000 for supporting law enforcement agencies, our police, in seeking accreditation. Program funds are used to develop the capacity of law enforcement to implement community policing strategies for providing guidance on promising practices. Any questions?
In the grant that has to do with, I think it was the 3rd one or the 4th one for crisis intervention, they're going to get trainings. It provides for trainings for them. Have they identified any local providers for those trainings or?
Not yet. We're still in the
beginning stages of
the very beginning stages. We're trying to plan the program, see what we can fit in. And the reason we have so many at once is all the funding opens up at once. Okay. So June, July are a little bit stressful.
Yeah, I think in light of recent activities that have happened and continue to happen, I think that we need to really focus on providing those mental health educational programs for our police officers.
So are a lot of these programs put out to the public, to the private sector to come in and provide services? Is that what I'm reading? Or?
We will have the ability to seek out a private sector vendor or plan one of our own. But we're still talking with the police department
I see.
to see how we're gonna do it and when it's gonna be taken.
And when you say that it's notice of upcoming, do you have a date that you have to submit these?
I have several dates.
Oh,
So
you already have a tentative date?
Got a tentative date, and because the feds are very interesting in how they do things, they've enacted a guideline where you have to do your application on a single portal called grants.gov. So it should be uniform.
All
You
federal
know-
grants have to be on grants.gov.
Okay, you know how they got around it though, because everybody wants their own thing.
Okay.
So now on grants.gov, you do your general one, and then once you've submitted that, it opens it up on the private portal of the COPS hiring or the private portal of Just Grants. So we have to go through there and do theirs. So because of this, we actually have 2 deadlines per grant. The first 2, which were the COPS hiring and the school violence prevention program, their initial deadline to grants.gov was yesterday. We made the deadlines, no problem. The next deadline is the 21st. On the ones for the implementation of crisis intervention teams and the micro grants, those are due July the 7th to grants.gov, but then instead of a 1-week turnaround, we have a 1-day turnaround, July the 8th for their Just Grants portal. And for the community policing development, it's a same-day application, but I believe it's July 18th.
Okay, well, hats off to you because I write grants and I know that it's extremely stressful, especially the federal grants. They're the trickiest. So I hope you get them all approved. Are they competitive grants or they're non-competitive?
All competitive.
Good luck.
And thank you very much. And we will jump through that hoop to try to see where it says. We're gonna do it.
Good
But
luck.
thank you very much.
So be competitive among other school districts.
Among other school districts and other law enforcement agencies, because we're applying on behalf of our certified law enforcement police department.
Ms.
So-
Lande, this is Mr. Ramirez.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. What's the amount of money that the budgetary information on a 12% cash match?
On the one
On the first 2, sir, it's a little bit less than $125,000 each. The others do not have a match. And we are able to request a waiver, possibly for the matching of the COPS hiring. And it's my goal to always try and get that waiver if we can. It
So
messes with
what would be the total of that, ma'am?
the total of that one. If they take off our waiver, they could fund us for the entire amount of $473,000 without our matching. Now, the problem is on the second one, we're not able to ask for a waiver because everything we need is more than the federal share. We need $625,000 to really make a good level playing field and getting our security guards equipped, getting our police department equipped, making sure we have the batteries we need and the mobile platform tower with the mobile solar powered pole cameras to really watch the riverbank because that's the position we're in now.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions?
Any other questions for Dr. Lande? Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, appreciate it.
6E, review of legal policies and TASB update 117.
Members of the board, members of the audience, and my colleagues here. We bring before you 26 legal policies as part of update 117. The staff has reviewed all of the policies and it's just for legal review, not necessarily approval. So these are written in statute and law, and so they just matched everything.
I see a lot there.
Yes.
So, yeah,
A lot with the facilities construction.
I see the competitive bidding for facilities. Is it just facilities,
Yes, ma'am, it is.
not professional contracts?
No, it is only strictly for the manner in which we procure the bidding process and the construction.
Okay, good luck, Mr. Cruz.
Yes. Any questions on this item on any of the policies?
No questions.
Thank you, sir. Number 6F, Resilient School Support Program, United ISD COVID Recovery and Acceleration Plan.
Good evening, board members. This is Essa, Executive Director for Instructional Accountability. Mr. Santos, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the opportunities that you've given us to serve the children and our administrators. We really appreciate. We know you've always held us accountable, and I think you've left a great foundation for us to continue. Thank you, sir. I bring to you the Resilient School Support Program. Just to let you know, this was a grant that United ISD applied for. We were accepted for year 1, and then we were accepted again for year 2. What this program is, it was no cost to our district. We were partnered with a technical service provider, and we have Dallin McKinnon from Ed Direction. He's our main coach, and he's been working with us. He worked with us for the 2021 school year, and he's working with us again in preparation for next year. He's going to be reviewing the participation for last year and what our focus is going to be for this coming year. And our teachers and our administrators have directly benefited from the participation in this grant. Mr. McKinnon?
Great, thank you, Emma. And if it's okay, I'll share my screen. I just have a few slides, if that's all right. And thank you again, Emma, for that introduction, and also congratulations to Mr. Santos, an exciting milestone, and we look forward to the future of the district as well. Okay, I'll be brief, but wanted to make clear that I'll share in just a couple of minutes a plan for year 2 of RSSP. And any feedback, questions that you all have, absolutely welcome. As a quick refresher on some details about RSSP, year 1 was all about how do we deliver high quality virtual instruction in the midst of a crazy year. Year 2 is all about how do we address learning loss and accelerate learning for students. We're currently in a planning process to determine what is that going to look like, and I want to share a portion of that plan today. And here's a rundown of the team, the RSSP team, on the Ed Direction side, but also the district side. It's an excellent team. It's been a phenomenal partnership over the course of this past year. And I speak for our entire team when I say we love working with this group and with the broader United ISD team. So with that context, let me jump into a summary of our plan for year 2. As we look back at year 1, we had a lot of successes. We did a lot of things to support teachers in classrooms with virtual instruction. Teachers completed nearly 1,000 online professional development modules with a lot of great success. Their proficiency to deliver high quality virtual instruction increased. And we wanted to build on those successes and also gather perspectives from other audiences around how did year 1 go and what are the biggest needs for students heading into this next school year in year 2 of RSSP. And so we partnered with the RSSP team on the district side to gather a bunch of data, student academic achievement data, perspectives from surveys and focus groups from other audiences as well, to create this plan. And it has 3 key parts. I'll run through them briefly, and then, like I said, any questions or feedback, absolutely welcome. Number 1, we wanted to understand what are the most critical supports for accelerating learning. And we zeroed in on needs of elementary students, not just academically in math and ELAR, but also around this kind of social emotional need and returning to school and making sure they feel supported once they're in person again. And so we wanted to make sure that our plan addressed those needs. And we also heard from principals that we needed to narrow our focus, not try and do too many things at once, but do a few things really, really well. And so the second part is around who can we best support? If we have to narrow our focus, who can we best support? And with input from all those stakeholders, we landed on 3rd grade, both because there's some clear academic needs there to accelerate learning, but also because 3rd grade is a hinge point in students' learning progression. And so that will be our focus for next year. And in order to accelerate learning for those 3rd graders, our focus will be on differentiating instruction. How do we ensure that individual students, based on their individual needs and learning gaps, receive the instruction, the interventions they need to grow their learning? We'll also have a small high school math focused pilot around what we call just-in-time interventions, because there's a need there as well. But the majority of our focus will be on 3rd grade, differentiated instruction, all with the goal of accelerating learning, and really look forward to what implementation will look like we'll continue planning through the rest of the summer and make sure that we're set up for success for next year with the RSSP team. And with that, Emma, I'll defer back to you and for any questions or feedback.
Thank you, Dallin. I don't know if you have any questions.
No questions for me.
Mr. Gonzalez, any?
I think more than anything else, I'd like to thank the RSSP team for the support this year and coming next year. And basically, they're another pair of eyes for us. And I'll be frank, when I say this, they will, in our weekly meetings, we ask questions, they will let us know what areas we need to address throughout the year. So I want to thank them for the work.
Thank you. It's been our pleasure.
Item 7, items for individual consideration. A, approval of monthly disbursements.
Yes, sir, Mr. Montemar, members of the board, members of the audience, the Division of Finance presented the board with the disbursements for the month of May. I don't know if anybody has any questions at this time.
Any questions?
No questions from me.
No questions on me.
7B.
We need to take a motion to approve.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Ramirez, aye.
Item passes. Agenda item 7B, approval of budget amendments.
Yes, sir, Mr. Montemar, the Division of Finance prepared 2 budget amendments for this fiscal year. The first one is for the debt service fund. If you remember, the board approved to issue a refunding earlier in February. And we've closed on that refunding and we have, I believe it's a $500,000 net present value savings every year for doing this refunding. However, we do have to make a payment this year. So we're bringing the budget forward to pay $560,000 of the issuance costs and roughly $1.2 million in the principal and interest payment on the refunding bonds. So it's a total budget amendment for the debt service fund of $1,765,080. The second budget amendment, VA 2104, this is for the general fund. Every year we have to do an accounting entry. It's called an accrual. And usually it's very minor because we'll start the school year maybe August the 16th, and the following year we started August the 14th or the 15th. So we have a 1 or 2 day accrual when it's not material enough. This year, however, we are starting the school year 12 days earlier than the 2021 school year, and it's going to produce a revenue amount of 7.3 million. So I felt it was significant enough to bring it to the board, excuse me, and allocate the $7.3 million into the following functions: instruction and 213641, as you can see them listed there. And the final one is some capital projects that we would like to address. So we're moving $1 million there, but it's a balanced budget amendment. There's no effect on fund balance, and it's to recognize the revenue pool of $7.3 million.
Any questions?
No questions.
No question.
Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ramirez. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ramirez, aye.
Item passes. Item C, consideration for approval of an order authorizing the issuance of United Independent School District Unlimited Tax-Free Funding Bonds, Taxable Series 2021A, entering into an escrow agreement, a bond purchase agreement, a paying agent registrar agreement, delegating to certain district administrative staff and officials the authority to approve all final terms of the bonds and other matters related thereto.
Mr. Montemar, we have Dan Martinez from Winstead PC and Robert Tijerina from Tijerina, Galvan and Lawrence, our financial advisor and co-bond counsel. I hope they're available. Are you guys there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Robert, are you going to do the first part of the presentation and Dan?
Yes, sir. I'll do that. And good evening, Mr. Montemayor, board members, Mr. Santos, Mr. Gonzalez, and staff. I hope everyone and their families are doing well. For the record, again, my name is Robert Tijerina with Tijerina, Gaban, and Lawrence. We're the school district's financial advisor. Also in attendance is Mr. Juan Cruz, Jaime Garcia, Dan Martinez, co-bond councils for the school district. Before I go into the presentation, I'd just like to thank Mr. Santos for your trust and support over the last 16 years. Appreciate the opportunity you've given my firm. But before I go into the presentation, I kind of want to go over a quick summary. Mr. Flores touched on it quickly. The district took action, the board took action back in February to refinance some bonds that Mr. Flores had stated. We refinanced about $48,295,000. Overall savings about $12,119,000, averaging about over $500,000 from 2022 through 2045, over 23 years. We're able to lower the interest rate from 5% to 2.589%. If you turn to page 2 of the presentation, we are assuming interest rates, current market interest rates, drop about 20 basis points, and we applaud the board for considering this action item. What we want to do is be ready that if interest rates drop about 20 basis points, we'll be able to go out there and refinance up to about $59,640,000 taxable, we stated on page 2. And on the bottom left-hand portion, again, if rates drop, if the board approves this action item and the rates drop about 20 basis points, we'll be able to save future savings over $6 million, which averages about $430,000 a year beginning fiscal year ending 2022. We're also hoping, again, that if rates drop, that we lower the interest rate on the bonds that we listed here on page 2, the $59,640,000. Overall, the interest rate is 4.946%. Again, if we're able to refinance the debt with current market rates dropping 20 basis points, we go from 4.94 to 1.757%. Now, if you turn to page 3 of the presentation, we pretty much kept the financing group intact. We have the issuer, United Independent School District, financial advisor. We have co-bond counsels, J. Cruz and Associate and Winstead PC, the paying agent, escrow agent, Wells Fargo. The underwriters and underwriters counsel are the same that the board approved back in February. Again, as Mr. Flores stated, we recently did the refunding a few months ago, so we used the same financing team on this financing. So again, we don't have a timetable because we're just kind of monitoring interest rates, hoping that if they do drop here 20 basis points, we'll be able to go and refinance roughly $59 million of the school district's debt. I know that's a lot of information, but again, as I said, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Martinez are also in attendance if there's any questions for myself or for co-bond counsels.
No questions other than that's just going to be an extremely big cost savings. And,
No question for Mr. Tejerina.
Any other questions for Mr. Tejerina, Molina, Mr. Belli?
Great job. Thank
motion for approval.
Second. A motion by Mr. Oliveros, second by Mr. Castillo. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Hi, Belly.
Passes. Item 7B, approval of awarding bids, proposals, and qualifications.
Good evening, for the record, Cordelia Jackson. And I too have had my entire career pretty much underneath Mr. Santos, and I really have learned a lot from him, and looking forward to enjoying your retirement, sir. Administration has the following recommendations for your approval. RFP 005-2021, awards and trophies to the vendors listed. If you could go to the summary page. Yeah, to the summary page. RFP 006-2021, charter of services to the vendors listed. RFP 007-2021, drinking water to 4L distributors. RFP 012-2021, therapy services, which is OT, PT, and SP, to the recommended vendors listed. In addition, we have 13 renewals for your consideration on the following page.
Services. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Jackson?
Question.
No questions. Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
A motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ramirez, aye.
Thank you. Item passes. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Appreciate it. On E, approval of competitive seal proposals as the method of procurement for the demolition of the current building located at 201 Lindenwood Drive, relocation and reconstruction of the existing utilities, infrastructure improvements, and related facilities.
Cordelia Jackson for the record again. As you are aware, part of Government Code 2269 requires that prior to doing any construction projects other than our default method, which is the job order contract, before advertising or going out for specifications, we need to get your approval on the best method. At this time, administration is recommending CSP as the method of procurement for this project. This demolition and construction would happen after our new natatorium is open and operational, and it would include any utilities that would be affected. You know, this natatorium is here, but it may affect our parking lot. So it's not just the demolition, but any utility lines that need to be moved or relocated.
All right. Have a motion.
I make a motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Vélez. Any discussion, any questions?
Yes, I just have a question, or not a question, but something to mention. To take some pictures of that building and put memorable moments of all the trophies that we won during the time of this building has been there, and put it on the wall of the new building inside.
Mr. Santos, I have a question.
Yes.
They're gonna repair the old building?
No, sir. No, what happens, the recommendation is to demolish, and the reason being is part of the pool itself, it's sinking. And it's really not safe, and I'm glad that the other is gonna be ready for us to, so it's really demolition of the building. Yes, sir.
Where are they gonna move it to?
Well, we have the new natatorium there at the Saxon, and it should be ready by.
That's what I mean. I thought they were gonna repair the old one. You know,
We tried to repair, but the issue goes back to, in order for us to fix it, it's such an old facility that again.
I understand that, and then the parking and the inconvenience to get in and out of there. That's why if we're gonna put so much money, we should move it someplace else where we have enough room to get all the kids in and parking and have everything we need. That's the only question that I had. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I had also mentioned that to you, I believe, Mr. Santos. about
Yes, you had.
reconstructing it or doing something.
Well,
with it.
we've looked at it, Mr. Castillo, the issue going back to based on the study that they've done, it's part of the pool itself is sinking. Such an old pool. I mean, we've had it over, I think we're probably over 40, well, actually, I think over 40 years, if I'm not mistaken. It was built in 1960. Built in 1962, so it's really closer to 60 years. And the issue there, in order for us to put it at the level where it's safe, it's just financially not feasible.
So it's gonna be buried.
Yes, we gotta demolish it, bury it, and cover it, and be able to set like a little parking area. Yeah.
Additional parking?
Yes, sir.
Right. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those for approval, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Thank you. The item passes. F, approval of disposition of technology equipment, Mr. Cavazos.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Montemayor, Ms. Oliveros, and Mr. Castillo, Mr. Santos, members of the board, and for the audience. At this time, we bring before you the recommendation for your approval for a transfer of the two listed assistive technology devices pursuant to Texas Education Code 30.0015 with an attached uniform transfer agreement. And this is a transfer of a laptop and a specific device used by a graduating special ed student. for the nominal fee of $1 with your approval.
Motion for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion, any questions? Okay, all those in favor, by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Rodriguez.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Cavazos.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
G, approval of donations.
Yes, so my own members of the board, it is recommended that the board of trustees graciously accept the following donations. And this will be attached to the minutes. We have 4 donations over $1,000. United ISD received a donation of hand sanitizers in the form of a full truckload with a value of over 200,000, 210, 614.52 cents from Kids in Need Foundation. United ISD received a donation of $2,000 from Texas Farm Bureau Insurance for the 2019 golf tournament. What happened is that check was lost. They have to reissue a new check. So, we just got it. It's going in. United ISD received a donation of $1,000 from Gindigi Oil to be used for the printing of the back to school publication. Alexander High School football athletic trainers receive a donation of $1,000 from Laredo Sport and Medicine Clinic. Plus, we have one more under 1,000. This month, our grand total is $215,114.52 that we graciously accept. And want to thank all these different companies and firms that are helping our schools.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Molina. Any discussion? All those in agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion carries. H, consideration for approval of first reading of local policies and TASB update 117.
Just for the record, Gloria Rendon. Castillo, I don't know if you've ever discussed this, but we have a 2 reading process to approve our TASB policies for local. And so legal policies don't have to be approved because they're law. And so local policies would have to. So we have a first reading, which we're bringing to you. And really, it's just a review of our 3, actually it's 2 policies and 1 exhibit. For the first one, BBD exhibit is the board members training and the orientation. And really, it's just a framework that was revised. It's nothing new, but it was just re-edited to meet some of the new criteria and just for proper style and so forth. The other policies, or the 2 other policies on there are CH local, which is the purchasing and acquisition, which Ms. Oliveros, you made reference to a lot in the legal policy. So they revised our local policy with regards to how to expend purchases. And so when you look at that, you look at the component that was written on page, if you want to scroll to the actual policy, you'll see the credit card use. And so you see the credit card information, and that's the bold section that was written. And it's just that we have 1 credit card account, which shall be chosen and maintained by the superintendent, and we've always followed that. And so purchases made with a district credit card shall only be for the purposes related to district business. And he shall be the only individual with permission to authorize use of that credit card. And we've always followed that that example or that the guidance in this policy. And then of course, the responsibility for debt, the purchase commitments, and that nothing shall be purchased for personal use through the district's business office. And we shall review the criminal history for contract approval for individuals that we do business with. The last policy on here is a CV local, which is the facilities construction. And there you'll see in the bold provisions, the compliance with the law, construction contracts, change orders, project administration, all of those are specific areas. In the next policy, and the second time that we read them, I'll go ahead and make those, highlight those particular changes so that you'll have that exact information. So that you don't have to read all of the new, but just what has been changed by test.
Okay, so the 2 presentations require approval. Yes. Okay, question for approval.
What? I want to ask a question.
I think you need a second.
No.
Second. Motion, I have a motion to approve by Ms. Oliveros, second by Mr. Castillo. Discussion.
Yes, so this conforms to state law.
Yes.
That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Just
they have to match.
Not a problem. Just wanted to be sure it's okay.
Ms. Castillo, all our policies, basically, we work with TASB, Texas Association of School Boards. That's the group that, again, based on whatever changes in state law, they put it in the language to meet all the policies, and obviously they come and Now, local, of course, that's where the board members, based on recommendation, sometimes from administration, you can tweak. But again, after we've made any changes, it has to go back to TASB to make sure it meets legal. I know Mr. Cruz and his staff also check it out, but it's gotta go back to TASB.
For the most part, Mr. Castillo, they're very similar, or most of our policies are very similar across the state, with the exception of a few our employment practices, because we may have different procedures, but make sure that they're still tied to legal policies or transfers for our students and so forth. Those are actually a little different. So we can customize them, but always with the approval of our attorneys who read, and then with consultation with TASB.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, we got a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye, Belly.
Aye. Motion carries. Agenda item I, approval of missed school day waiver for May 18th, 2021.
Yes, sir, we have 11 schools that failed to hold classes on May 18th. And this was due to a main water line break, which resulted in no water service to the southernmost areas of the city. The actual water line broke on Monday, May 17th, but that evening we also had a severe weather situation in which high winds, and what happened is that the tanks were not able to be pressurized, so the water was still not able to meet to reach those particular campuses. The result, we did not have actual good drinking water or able to use the bathroom facilities and so forth. So we did miss instruction on this particular day. These particular campuses were the impacted campuses. And so we we're asking for the approval of the missed full day waiver to submit to the state so that we don't impact our ADA.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Belly.
Motion carries. Agenda item J, approval of first and final reading of board policy CB local, state, and federal revenue sources.
This makes reference to the Esser2 Funds that we are using and actually working on different plans. So when you talk about the federal awards, we've already cleared this through our policy consultant at TASB. The public notice and input, that is a requirement now that says the district shall provide public notice of federal grant writing applications through an information item at a board meeting and by publishing information on the district's website. The district shall make available opportunities for public input as required by law or the granting agency. And the approval, of course, will be by the superintendent. And that is clear language that was submitted to us by TASB.
Motion for approval.
And this is actually first reading, sir. Mr. Castillo, I just told you it's first and final because this is important that we meet those particular deadlines for those grant proposals.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Oliveira, second by Mr. Rodriguez. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Belly.
Aye.
Motion carries. K, approval of interlocal agreement between Webb County and United Independent School District for juvenile JP court coordinators.
I have K, L, and M, and I just want to point out that on all of them, that will be signed, Mr. Santos will, because he's still serving superintendent, then we're also going to add a signature from Mr. Gonzalez effective date. That way we don't have to come back to the board for you all to approve.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. The first agenda, the first one on K is we have a partnership with the Webb County agencies with regards to the two JP courts that we have, Bobby Quintana's office and Jose Pepe Salinas, where we assign an individual to work as a court coordinator for truancy cases. And so these individuals do work out of that particular office. They're working 226 days, if salary is there. They pay half of the salary for each of the individuals. So this is the MOU that we would like for you to coordinate. These individuals, they do coordinate the truancy cases across all of our campuses.
The same as we're just renewing it.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion for approval on.
Second.
Motion, second by Mr. Rodriguez, motion by Ms. Oliveros. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries.
Aye.
Thank you. Approval of memorandum of understanding between United ISD and Webb County Juvenile Department, allowing its probation officers access to UISD campuses.
This MOU is also to renewal. However, the only change that we would have is the new assistant chief Mary Rodriguez, and just a correction there, it's Ray Gardner, not Gamer, for UIC PD department. And so those signatures will also show Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Santos.
This is for high schools or?
Yes, because the probation officers go and visit, and sometimes we have older middle school students that also have assigned probation officers. So they do go and work. Sometimes they drug test at the schools and monitor their progress or attendance.
Motion for approval.
Second. Seconded by Mr. Reyes. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I'm gonna go ahead and abstain since I'm a probation officer, so I won't be able to. Don't want to vote on this.
It's unanimous with the exception of Mr. Castillo abstaining. Motion carries. L, approval of memorandum of understanding between United ISD and Webb County Juvenile Department providing teachers to youth village detention center.
It's our M.
I'm sorry, L, it's in.
It is also a renewal, once again, and basically it is to provide the educational services for students who are housed at the youth village. And so it's any student, whether it be LISD, UASD, or from just anybody with these items.
So we get the 88 for that, correct?
Yes.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Molina. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Elise.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 8, closed session. The board will adjourn into closed session pursuant to the sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act 551.071, 551.072. Time is now 7:12. We'll be back in 20 minutes. Okay, time is 7:22. 8:22, I'm sorry. We are reconvened from closed session. The board will take appropriate action on items if necessary as discussed in closed session.
Mr. President, members of the board, the recommendation is to approve the first and final reading of UISD Board Policy BE Local as presented.
Motion to approve, Elise.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Valley, second by Ms. Oliveros. Any discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. B, public hearing consideration regarding contingency fee contract for delinquent tax collection pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 2254.1026.
I make a motion to open public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second by Ms. Oliveros to open the public hearing. Any comments by the public? No.
Nobody's outside? No.
If we may, we'd like to take an opportunity to introduce our firm. That was right now.
Yes, sir. Mr.
Yes.
Reyes and Ms.
Go ahead.
W. Mrs. W.
Well, first of all, let me begin by thanking the honorable members of the board for being here tonight. My own, Mr. Castillo, Oliveros, Mr. Ramirez, and Reyes, Rodriguez, and Molina, who are through Zoom. But before we go any further, I'd like to also, I've done so already, but I'll do it again here publicly. I wish to thank Superintendent Santos for the years of service that he's dedicated to our children. In Laredo, I know that 2 of my kids have been through your district, and I'm very happy with how my children have performed. My daughter is a third year student at UT, and she was well prepared in our school district. And I'm proud to say that she has been on the dean's list 3 years straight. And my son is congrats. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for your years of service, Mr. Santos. It's really appreciated by our community. And a welcome to our new superintendent, Mr. Gonzalez. Look forward to working with you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight before you. And just want to introduce ourselves. My name is Andres Reyes. I've been a lawyer here in Laredo for 32 years. I've had the opportunity to be in public service back in the early 2000s. I served as district judge for the 406 District Court. I was the first judge of that court. And yeah, we've always been service oriented because back in my late teens, early 20s, I served the city as a police officer and served for about 6.5 years. And I believe that my partner, Mario Castillo, who's not here with us, has also previously rendered service. He was a public defender. He worked with the county, and he also represented the school district a while back for the tax collection firm. And now we have a very young, energetic partner standing right here to my right, Ms. Del Rio. And I think that combined, we bring a lot of know-how, a lot of energy, and a lot of willingness to continue in the tradition that we've established for ourselves, and that is rendering public service. Thank you again. I want to pass it on to Ms. Del Rio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and Mr. Santos also, I give you my blessings, and again, thank you for your service. My son's starting kinder next year, so we'll see how everything goes. We'll be under Mr. Gonzalez, but we'll see how everything goes. Fingers crossed. Yeah, thank you for giving us this opportunity. We look forward to working with you. And I'm joining this partnership because when I was in law school, I actually interned and worked the tax contract with Mr. Castillo. So now I'm tasked with the numbers, and after reviewing all the numbers, I was really proud to see that in the 7 years that Mr. Castillo had the contract, $32 million was collected, and that's averaging 4.6 million a year. So those are numbers that I am striving to match and of course exceed. District has grown larger. I also noticed that during that time, the tax flows were significantly larger than more recent years. So collection percentages was not as high, but we're going to work to get that up there. Along with other numbers, I saw that we filed 1,100 lawsuits, which is significantly less than 6,000 lawsuits, but that just means taxpayers did not pay that amount to above and beyond the delinquent taxes they already owed. Just looking at numbers, filing fees right now are $242. So at 6,000 suits, that's $1.2 million that taxpayers paid above the delinquent taxes. We had 1,000 at 242, it's about $200,000. So I'm hoping to continue the tax savings that we implemented before and bring the experience that we have, all the court experience, the trial experience Mr. Reyes has, Mr. Castillo has, and just go forward from there. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity, and we look forward to working.
One final thing that I'd like to point out is that part of how we intend to better serve the community is we have opened up an office already in South Laredo. It's located at the corner of Ejido and Lomas del Sur. That is an office that Mr. Castillo and myself opened about a year ago. But we believe that we will convert that office for purposes of better serving the taxpayers of our district. They won't have to make the trek all the way to the north. Those that are within the area of the south, they will have a shorter track to go and pay their taxes. And so in that way, we intend to better serve them. We believe that because of the prior experience, namely by Mr. Castillo and in reviewing the work that was done back when, we believe that by offering them these two locations, by continuing to insist on sending out these notices to delinquent taxpayers, that it will effectively result in the reduction of unnecessary lawsuits filed. And that means that those costs will not be passed on to the taxpayers. We will continue to have emphasis on that type of notice. And now with two locations, we believe that it will be more readily available to the taxpayers. So I wanted to inform everyone of that particular.
We have a motion to close public hearing.
Motion.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Got a motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor to close public hearing, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Meeting is closed. Item C, discussion possible action to approve the delinquent tax collection contract between the district and Castillo Reyes and Del Rio Law Group LLC.
Motion,
Have a motion,
Second.
Second.
discussion.
motion and discussion, motion, second by Mr. Molina, discussion. Ms. Oliveros?
Okay, well, it's no secret that I was not an advocate of terminating the previous tax firm's contract. I'm okay with terminating contracts as long as it's done for the right purpose. And I'm also okay with negotiating new contracts as long as it's done the right way. And I struggled a lot with what happened, and I want the public to know that my struggle was because nothing against the current law firm. I have total respect and congratulations to you. But it was more about the process of breaking procedure. And I feel that you would have had more glory if you had bidded for it and you beat out all your competitors. And the glory of standing right there would feel even better for you. So it was almost even a disservice to your firm that we didn't go out for bids. And that's where I'm a very ethical person. I'm extremely loyal to my constituency. And I felt that the community and my constituency and the students that we serve deserved that. But I'm able to get some peace, and I just voted in favor of your law firm because I believe that have we discussed the terms of the contract
No,
yet?
that has to be included in your motion.
Okay, well, in my motion, I'm okay with it if we stick to the same contract that we had with the previous law firm. However, adding two items that benefit the district. And that would be one to, I believe that if you will report to the district any staff turnover. And of course, if any of your staff were to come under investigation, you would report that to the district. So I'm okay with this and I'm at peace with it if that happens. And that of course is up to my colleagues to agree with me or not.
So
that
just to
is a part
clarify
of
the
my
motion, it's a 4-year motion, and then the termination clause, what is it? What are you proposing?
Similar to the one we have?
Which is
With
not
60-day,
not performance 60 days,
60-day non-performance with
2-year extension.
2-year extension.
2-year renewal.
Okay, so can you restate the motion? The motion, well, let me restate the motion as the motion by Ms. Oliveros is to approve the delinquent tax contract of the Castillo Reyes and Del Rio Group for a term of 4 years with a termination clause based on performance with a 60-day cure period and a 2-year extension upon successful evaluation.
I make a motion to approve on that.
Second, Molina.
Well, I think
We have a motion and a second.
That's a discussion. Thank you.
We're on discussion. That's the motion as I understand it. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, Molina.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Congratulations.
Motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Item E, possible action regarding authorization to legal counsel and district administration to proceed as legally necessary to address failure.
We need item D, actually, the resolution.
I'm sorry, I skipped it. Discussion and possible action on resolution adopting findings of fact regarding delinquent tax collection contract between the district and Castillo Reyes and Del Rio Law Group. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, Molina.
Discussion, any discussion? All those signify by saying aye. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Molina.
Unanimous, motion carries. Now, E, action regarding authorization to legal counsel and district administration to proceed as legally necessary to address the failure of MP2 Energy Incorporated utility meter at Roberto J. Santos Elementary and matters related thereto.
Recommendation is to authorize legal counsel and district administration to proceed as discussed in closed session.
So moved.
So move. Second, Molina.
The second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Action F, action regarding appointment of Associate Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, Mr. Gonzalez.
Members of the board, at this time, the recommendation is to approve the appointment of Ms. Emma Lessa to Associate Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all those, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 It is aye.
And the last item, well, before adjournment, action regarding appointment of Director of Special Education.
Yes, Mr. Montemayor, members of the board, this time the recommendation is to approve the appointment of Mr. Matias Hidrogo as Director of Special Education.
So moved.
So move. Second. Lina?
Motion in the second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Mr. Montemayor, before we adjourn, thank you for your support. At this time, on behalf of the 43,000 students of UISD, I'd like to speak on their behalf and thank Mr. Santos for 16 years of leadership as superintendent, for also being a mentor, a teacher, and a great educator on behalf, again, of our students and staff. Mr. Santos, thank you very much.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right,
Mr. Santos.
adjournment.
Adjournment.
We're adjourned, thank you. Everybody have a good night.